I'm so glad you're here. I've been looking forward to this podcast for a long time.
Awesome.
Tell us a bit about you to my audience because I really want to share your message along with mine. Go ahead. A little intro.
Okay, so I've got many stories, but I think the big one is that if we're talking personal development, I've had this kind of desire to help people, and it's been consistent my entire life. And I think probably some people can relate to that. We often have themes, and growing up was pretty tough. I had anxiety, learning difficulties, bullying, but I had a bit of a hero, and that hero was my dad. And he dragged me into my first personal development course when I was 12, kicking and screaming. I didn't want to be there at all. I hated learning, and it happened to be an NLP training, an NLP practitioner training, and I was like the youngest person there, and everyone was saying you're so lucky to be learning this information at such a young age. But something happened with me in that course, and I find that when you hear information that you feel is true, it goes through your filters and it just hits you here, and that's what happened. It awoke something in me. It planted a seed that started to grow, and that really just led me into a new path. It kind of had me not really like mainstream education to the point where I got expelled, right before my HSC. But what happened was half the school walked out in protest, which enabled me to do my HSC, and that was really one of these moments that that woke me up. And I was like, I'm here for people. I want to inspire people. I want to help people. I want to help those people that maybe that don't believe in themselves, like me. And also, I had a tragedy when I was 13 of losing my father on Father's Day. And the last thing he said to me was, the key to life is to live it now. And so I put all of that together and I launched an event called Live It Now. I launched my first business when I was 19. And then Live It Now became like a movement. and then here we are today, multiple companies, and we've helped over 100,000 people nationwide. I've developed my own therapy, and I have to pinch myself sometimes. Like, I go to university and I'm lecturing at university on business to PhD students. I have psychologists and doctors doing my trainings, learning from me, and we've made such an impact with the money that we've raised for charity, and most importantly, the impact that we've made in the community with Live It Now and all of the work that we do. So that's a little bit about me. I love helping people, and I'm a troublemaker, which just happens to be the name of one of my companies, the Troublemakers, as well.
Absolutely impressive. And if there's someone can relate to this, that's me. And I know I'm interviewing you, but I want to share it right now that if I didn't meet you and your organization, I guess I would be on the same self-destructive path in my life where I was slowly destroying relationships and my financial life, and in other areas of life playing out the same patterns. And my life has changed to have time for me, even now on a Tuesday, and I experience happiness. My kids love me. People started to love me because I can help them with your magic formula, which we call RCT, and I will ask you this in a second. But if you were not at that time in my life, then I wouldn't be here today. And I'm so happy that you have become one of the most influential person in my life.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I'm very grateful for that. So tell us a bit more about this magic RCT, shortly, if you can.
Okay, well, RCT stands for Rapid Change Technologies, and there's really three components of it. One is root cause techniques, the other is rapid coaching techniques, and then rapid consulting techniques. And I created RCT, like I said, I started doing the mindset work when I was 12 years old, and I thought, like a lot of people that got into NLP and different mindset programs, that this is the be all and end all. It becomes almost like a religion at some point, that no other technique works, and that wasn't necessarily the case for me, because I would see other techniques working that were very, very powerful on myself and other people. And I've always been really inclusive. Like if like my mum, who was my biggest inspiration, like she brought up my sister and I in such a, you know, a really challenging situation, losing our father, and provided for us. It was incredible. And if I look at my mum, she was alternative. She was a naturopath and iridologist and herbalist. Yet she was working as an operating theatre system, managing cardiac wards, working with the best doctors in the country. And she really had both sides. And she looked at it and thought to herself, well, I can see both of these modalities working. What if alternative, you know, health practitioners were working with doctors, sharing knowledge? And that got me thinking as well. There are other techniques out there. There are other schools of thought. There are other modalities. So what if we bring it all together? And that's what rapid change technologies is all about. It's an inclusive discipline to look at, you know, what are the techniques that are really going to help people change their life? For instance, you know, like if we look at the health area, you know, some people just focus on nutrition, where other people just focus on movement, but there's also the emotional health side. And so with rapid change technologies, we bring it all together. We bring the nutrition, we bring the movement, we bring the mindset work all together, and the results are incredible. But in terms of those three components, the history of it is that I started off doing the mindset stuff. I worked with thousands of people just doing mindset work. And what happened was, I do these breakthrough sessions with people. Sometimes they'd be like 12 hours long, and the clients would be like crawling out. And I'm like, no, come back in. We're still going. And they get these incredible breakthroughs. And I'd contact them within like 90 days. And I'd be like, how's your life? How is everything? They're like, Matt, I feel really confident, but far out. I am in overwhelm. I've got multiple goals. And this is the thing. When you build your confidence, guess what happens? You set bigger goals. When you set bigger goals, more chaos. And so what if you're setting multiple goals? And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing my clients a disservice. And so then I kind of got into coaching. And I liked coaching because we were setting a specific objective, ideally a true target. Good coaches can discover that true target like a detective, and then really putting a plan in place and then being with them over the long term to ensure there is a primary focus, to ensure that we have a plan and follow through. And so I was like, wow, coaching is the answer. However, what I found was that, again, clients were motivated for 3 to 4 sessions, typically off the rapport that I had with them, and then they'd go back to sabotage patterns, typically because of the mindset issues. And then I'm like, that's it. I'm not doing any more mindset work. I'm not doing any more coaching. What I'm going to do is move into consulting. And so that's what I did. I moved into consulting, and I just really wanted to work with high achievers. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, I don't want to do this mindset work. I don't want to do this coaching stuff. What I want to do is, you know, work with these leaders, get breakthroughs in their business and all that stuff. Then what I found was they were just as fucked up. And what I found was that there were patterns that were happening in their personal life that were impacting their business. Now, I wouldn't have been able to see that stuff if I wasn't trained in more of the life coaching modalities. Then I also found that there are patterns, there were wounds that were impacting their business. And so then I was like, well, what if we put it all together? What if we put the mindset work together, which is root cause techniques? What if we put the coaching together? What if we put the consulting together? And that's what RCT is all about, because sometimes people need some mindset work, other people need more a coaching modality, others are just high achievers and they need strategy to take them from here to here. And that's really what RCT is.
Awesome. And what is, if there is a favorite breakthrough intervention, how you shift people? Have you got one?
Yeah, look, under the root cause technique banner is the technique where we're able to release major negative emotions and to really be able to get people back to their authenticity. That's really the key. Like, if you look at the research, it suggests that, not that I really believe in this, but the research suggests that we take on board, or we're born with 2 major fears, which is fear of loud noises, fear of falling, basically.
Okay.
So if we take on board that belief, that means that all of the limiting programming has come from somewhere else. And so therefore, my belief is that if we can just get people back to their authenticity, if we can help them unlock their authentic power, then guess what? Like, it becomes easy. There
Mm.
is no having to fire an anchor for confidence, because we naturally have this inbuilt level of certainty, this inbuilt level of authentic power. And what I find is that when you create space to tap into or unlock that authentic power, a new level of leadership starts to happen. I call this the rise of the authentic leader, and that's really what I'm about, is to help people, tap into their authenticity and take a new leadership position in their life and experience freedom. I think we're meant to be free. I think this concept of lack, scarcity, shortages, competition, all that kind of stuff, I think it's all manufactured. We're meant to be free. That's what I'm about.
I really love your unorthodox approach to breakthroughs and human transformation. And I got that feeling when I first saw you on these events, that in the personal development industry, if we call it that way, you have created something unprecedented, something unique that even, I believe, bigger names have not yet caught or realized. Then how did you do it and why? Tell us about your events and how you structure it.
Well, look, one of the things that I've done is I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this since I was 12 years old, um, and and one of the things is that I work with a lot of people one on one. So a lot of leaders, I suppose, they stop doing that. They kind of move to more masterminds, or they move to bigger events. Whereas I've still been doing the hard work, if you will, working with people, and I have this, I suppose, ferocious curiosity. I want to understand what makes people tick, and also I work with my mentors consistently. Like, I work with my mentors weekly as well, and so there is a constant work. And what I found, after doing so many interventions with people, there is this incredible force inside of us. And all that we actually have to do is just get out of the way of it. And we think that, and I see so much of this with, especially with perfectionists and high achievers, they think they need to keep doing, think they need to keep fixing. Um, but the challenge is that when you're operating from a wound, there's an exhaustion that's happening. And if we can fill those kind of leakages, then it actually just becomes easy.
Hmm.
And that's really what I want to share. And I think this crisis has probably been the biggest wake up call, because typically in a crisis, that's when we wake up. And I'm seeing this. There's a new world that's happening. There's an awakening that's happening, and there's a new leadership that is happening. So the old model of personal development, of pushing, faking it till you make it, all that type of stuff, that was probably necessary. Now we're moving into a new accelerated world, and we need to kind of have a consistent increase in performance, not the up and down. Because the up and down, what that's going to do, it's going to stop you. It's going to stop the compounding effect, which is so important when you're in the game, when you're taking action. And so I'd say, like, in summary of this question, enormous work on myself, enormous amounts of people that I've worked with, but also looking at where the world's going and this crisis and what this really actually means. The era of the wounded leader is over. It's creating space for the authentic, the rise of the authentic leader.
Beautiful. So, about the authentic leader, I guess self-worth really needs to be in place for someone who's going to lead in the next decades to come. And I would love to ask you about, what do you see the connection is between self-worth, money, and relationships? Because these triad is actually changing lives, taking lives to an absolutely new level. What's your view on this?
Well, I mean, if we look at self-worth, self-worth really is the ability to receive. The ability to receive love, the ability to receive abundance, the ability to receive money. And so it's crucial. It's crucial in terms of that relationship, to your relationship with yourself, to your relationship with other people, to your relationship with this world and the opportunities that are there. We know that when someone has lots of, a high level of self-worth, they attract better relationships, they attract better opportunities, they attract more money. We can look at self-worth and we can connect self-worth to optimism. And you can look at Martin Seligman's work around learned optimism, pessimism versus optimism. Optimistic people live longer. Optimistic people have better relationships. Optimistic people make more money. What is that? It's all self-worth.
Hmm. And who are your role models, if I could ask you that? Who are you looking up to?
Oh, look, probably the same ones everyone else looks up to. Like, I love Richard Branson. I love what he stands for. Freedom is in my top 5 values, and what he's been able to create, I think, is incredible. Where he's able to live, a wonderful life, a life full of adventure, a life full of connection, a life full of contribution. Yet he's got like 411 businesses, and he's created a structure that is a structure of creating, a structure of freedom. He inspires me. Obviously, Elon Musk inspires me with his innovation and just his level of intellectual ability and figuring out things. I think he's incredibly inspires me enormously, and all the old ones, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tony Robbins used to be there as one of mine, and the Rock as well. The Rock, I love the Rock. I love his compassion, and I love his love for other people and his gratitude that comes through as well. And so, yeah, there are a couple. There's so many. There's so many that I look up to and learn from. But they're the ones that come to mind.
Thanks for sharing that. And just give us some insight that where do you see yourself in 7 years' time from now? Because that could actually allow people to see whether they want to come alongside you and me, and hopefully thousands and millions. That's what I'm expecting, but I want to hear from you 7 years from now.
Well, the mission is to create a positive world one person at a time. Yeah. And when I think of creating a positive world one person at a time, I imagine Live It Now being an international brand. I imagine that we have an incredible team of passionate entrepreneurs that are out there that are making a difference. I don't need it to be all about me or anything like that, but I just imagine this incredible team that is out there, that have been trained in RCT, that are connected, they're entrepreneurs, and we're helping 1 million people a year. That's what I envisage. Raising a whole heap of money for charity, but as a collective team, a group of troublemakers, we're running amok, traveling, changing lives, creating new ideas and concepts that really are just going to take the human race to the next level. I'm like really excited about the future. Everyone's talking about doom and gloom, all that type of stuff. I'm like, no, once we get beyond this crisis, we have this new accelerated world that is full of possibilities to be able to create an incredible impact and be a force for good.
I have started to see a glimpse of this working along you as you started to open my eyes. And just a question, how would you define true growth for people who are not clear about it and what it means really in people's lives? True growth.
Right. Well, I mean, you could look at my three my 3 steps to rapid change, really, or the 3 phases of personal transformation. First phase is wounded self. That's the majority of the population is. It's fundamentally sitting there. And wounded self is you're unconscious. You're unconscious that these wounds are controlling every decision. You're unconscious that you're repeating these patterns over and over and over again. And what happens is you repeat these wounded patterns or these limitations. The crises just get bigger, but the crisis is an opportunity to wake up. But a lot of people don't get that. They suppress, they distract with TV, self-medicate, whatever it is, and then they just keep repeating. The next phase in terms of personal growth is best version. And the best version is where we actually start to become conscious and start to be doing the work. And we start to turn these wounds into the opposite polarity, which turns into, unlocking your authentic power. And then the next phase is a mission, where we start to look at, what am I here for? And how can I serve? How can I make a difference? And typically that's when someone has gone through their best version of self, they're overflowing, and they've created space to be able to tap into their true genius. That's kind of what happens when you handle the basic stresses. You create space to tap into your true genius. Now the challenge is that most people that I see never get to experience their best version, let alone mission, in their entire life. And so the crisis is the key to this. The crisis is actually a beautiful thing. People think they shouldn't have wounds. No, crisis is the key to wake up. The other part of that is people think that they need to do it alone. No, you get a team. You get you on board, the doctor of self-worth, and work as a team to use these crises to unlock this authentic power and take life to the next level. And I think that's a big paradigm shift. Like you see it in series that are coming out at the moment, like Billions and all that type of stuff, where you've got Wendy, who's this performance coach, and you've got Axe, who's this monster, but he knows he'll destroy everything. And there is this relationship where using crises to be able to take it to the next level. And I think that's where we're going. I think having a team of mechanics around you to get the best results, to take you to the next level, that's where we're going. And we'll see it with, the top end of the market and all that type of stuff. And then it will become mainstream. And so those of you that are kind of going through an awakening early around this concept, you guys have a competitive advantage. And so the key is get a mindset mechanic. Use the crises that are in front of you instead of the crises that control you. Conflict in a relationship is an opportunity for you to be able to use this stuff, or setbacks. Or crises, they're opportunities to take your life to the next level. And so, that's my answer when it comes to personal growth, is the crises are actually the key.
I love it. What does coaching mean to you? And where would you be without it?
So look, coaching to me really is just such an incredible relationship. It really is. It's a relationship where you have someone that is going to be there with you through the challenging times. You have someone that is like a detective that is going to help you uncover things that you have no awareness of. You have someone that is going to get you out of that crisis, that conflict, or that challenge, and get back into action. And you have someone that is an ally that is going to walk with you hand in hand to be able to help you achieve those different levels, whether it be best version of self or uncovering that mission. And I think a coaching relationship is a gift. That's what I believe.
Absolutely. I got this message just 5 minutes before we started. This lady I was working with from Queensland, she had these toxic people around her, really low salary, overpowering boss. He's got a job. He's getting paid 40% more, can move into another place, starting a new life. And it took us, 6 or 7 sessions to restart her life into this new place. I was talking to another one today, and she said to her, I think you need to feel yourself in a new family. I want you to come and see us every 2-3 weeks, and I will spend some time with you. So you will experience family as probably never before. So a question to you, I know we're nearing to the end. Is there any tips or ideas for someone who is not getting the desired or intended experiences out of life that they could do now, right now, sitting on the fence, maybe thinking about what to do, who to approach, and it's time to promote yourself in your events and institution?
Yeah, look, if someone's sitting on the fence, what it typically means is that they're stuck in their wounds. And often we will, like our wounds, we hold on to wounds. Often they're not in our wounds, we pick them up from, parents, and they pick them up from their generations and all this type of stuff. So a lot of the time when you are stuck or you're not moving, it's the program that's running. It's not actually you. That's what I would say. You need to kind of separate yourself from these patterns, because what a lot of people do is they go into that kind of beat up, and the beat up cycle, yeah, it's just a downward spiral. So that's one of the first things that I would say is, what if that little voice inside of your head is not your voice? What if it's a pattern that you just picked up, you played that a million times, and you think it's your voice? And I think that's really freeing when you start to understand that. Because as kids, often kids are really, really positive. Like, I'm looking at my daughter who's 15 months old at the moment. She's really positive, enormous amount of energy. And she's listening to her true voice in her head. And I think what happens is that we stop listening to that true voice. We've turned the volume down. There's too many other voices in there. And so what I would say to people is to stop. Become present to those voices in your head. Even write these stories out and notice, how limiting these stories are. And if you can identify where they've come from, like whose wound it is, parents, grandparents, bosses, whatever it is, suddenly you're starting to become freer. Then all we've got to do is just turn the volume up on your true voice. Because when you make life decisions from your true voice, you get on a true target in life. If you're listening to a false voice, you'll be on a false target. And that's where the wounds just get bigger and bigger. The crises just get bigger and bigger. And guess what? What if it's by default? What if these crises are getting bigger and bigger to wake you up? For you to reach out and go, you know what, I need some help. Because we can't do this alone. We're not meant to do this alone. We're meant to have a team around us. And each level of freedom is a new team. And so that's what I would say to you. 2 tips. Number 1, listen to the right voice. Number 2, get a team of mechanics around you that can support you to be able to take your life to the next level. And you, my friend, are the doctor of self-worth. You have precision in your interventions. And so if you're listening to this, reach out to this man. Because Indra, you have been probably one of the most disciplined and committed people I have ever seen when it comes to this work and learning RCT and these interventions. So powerful. So, when I think of you, I feel grateful and just so proud of, how you have evolved, and most importantly, the impact that you are making with your clients and the level of connection and commitment that you have for them to be able to help them and support them on their journey to getting on a true targeted life.
Truly grateful for teaching me, mentoring me. And I believe these last few sentences you have given us a snapshot that is a new chapter to life for all people who have been stuck and looking for freedom out of a stuck job, or financials, or from a business. So thank you very much, Matt. I will take this message to everywhere I can on this planet, so they know about you and all level of involvement in this beautiful business together, or journey together.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and if you're listening to this, take note of this man. Watch this man and where he's going, and what he's able to do. It's very, very exciting. Thank you again so much for your time today.
Thank you, Matt.